In this video, I'll answer some of the most common iOS beginner questions, so let's get right into it. How much does it cost? Well, that depends on your situation, because you will need a Mac device. Now, if you already have a Mac device, then you can get started completely for free. But if you don't have a Mac device yet, then obviously that's a pretty expensive thing to get if you're just dabbling around with it. But there's no way around it, you will need a Mac. Of course, it is theoretically possible to rent a Mac in the cloud or to host macOS in a VM somehow. In addition to that, you will need to install Xcode, which is the integrated development environment used to create iOS, macOS, watchOS, and so on for all of the Apple platform apps. It's completely free. You can either download it from the Mac App Store or get it from the developer.apple.com website, which is the next thing that you will need. That's a free Apple developer account. You can use the free account to get started, to work on your apps, install them and test them on your own actual physical devices. But once you want to use some more advanced services like CloudKit to sync your data over iCloud, or I believe also WeatherKit and a few other things like that, then you will need to upgrade to a paid developer account. And of course, you also need a paid developer account to actually upload your apps to the App Store and distribute them that way. The paid account is $100 per year. What do you need to get started? Well, as I just said, you will need a Mac and you will need Xcode in addition to your basic free developer account. And then I really suggest you to take some course, be that a free course or a paid course or just a book. But I really recommend you to get down the basics. I have another video covering that, which is linked up here. Can you run Xcode on Windows? No, you can't. There is this solution of going via a VM, borrowing a Mac or renting a Mac in the cloud, but Xcode itself only works on macOS. Can you make money with your own apps? Yes, absolutely, that's completely possible. The start can be a bit rough since you probably don't really know what you're doing quite yet, because as an indie developer you will have to juggle many jobs at the same time. You will have to do development, planning, marketing, distribution, all of that, and also design, of course. All of that is important as an indie developer, but at the beginning you probably only have the development part down. Of course, if you already have some experience in the other areas, it's even easier to get started. Now, in the beginning you probably won't get rich fast, but it can accumulate over time, especially if you have a free app with some in-app purchases, perhaps a subscription, perhaps you get started with App Store optimization. It's completely possible to make money with your own apps, and I talk more about that in this video. How do you handle App Store reviews? Speaking of your apps, one of the best feelings is getting a nice review on the App Store. Today's sponsor, Superstar, makes it super easy to reply to all your app's reviews. You just connect it to your App Store Connect account through an API key, which is securely stored in the keychain, so no need to worry about that. And then it automatically loads all of your apps and all of the reviews that your apps got in the App Store. Then you can create response suggestions, so basically templates for your responses that are reusable. And you can even translate the reviews into your own language if you don't speak the language of the review, which is a very nice feature in my opinion. And then the newest feature for Superstar is that you can add your OpenAI API key and actually let an AI respond to the reviews for you, and you can even let it summarize your past reviews so you know what's going on with your app and what you probably should work on next. You can download Superstar using the link in the video description or just search for Superstar in the Mac App Store. Once again, thanks for sponsoring this video. Should you learn SwiftUI or UIKit? This is an age-old question and it gets revitalized on Twitter every few months, and there's no definitive answer here, definitely. But I can give you a bit of guidance to make the decision easier for you. Personally, I'm all in on SwiftUI because I'm not focused on getting a corporate job as an iOS developer at a big company. I am doing all of this just to create my own project and have fun with it. So if your goal is to maybe work in a smaller company with a newer app, maybe at a startup, or just working on your own projects and potentially going indie, then I definitely suggest you to just start with SwiftUI, and then you can learn the UIKit basics later on if you ever need them. But if your plan is to start a corporate job and perhaps join an existing app or a legacy code base, then you probably still need UIKit instead of SwiftUI, since most apps on the App Store that are bigger apps still use UIKit. But either way, I would not suggest to start with Objective-C. That is a very much outdated language nowadays. Most apps run on Swift, which is a great programming language. The only exception for this may be if you know that the job that you want to apply to has an app written in Objective-C, then you probably need to learn that language as well. Where can I get started? As a total beginner, I actually recommend checking out the Code with Chris Make an App in 8 Days series. It's a completely free YouTube playlist that goes through absolutely everything you need to know if you're a complete beginner and have never written a line of Swift code before. It even covers if statements, variables, all of the very basic stuff. After that, I would probably recommend to try out 100 days of SwiftUI, which is a 100-day long challenge basically by hacking with Swift. The link for that is in the video description. An alternative program would be Code with Chris Plus, which is also linked in the description, that has a bunch of different courses that you can try out. And additionally, of course, you can have a look around on this YouTube channel. I covered a ton of advanced and beginner-friendly topics around SwiftUI and iOS development on here. How do I go about submitting my app to the App Store? Well, first of all, you will have to make an app, obviously, and then you will have to upgrade to the paid developer account, which costs $100 per year. Then, and this is an important step, and I actually got asked about this recently, you will need to have the latest major version of Xcode installed. So right now that's Xcode 14, in a year then it's probably Xcode 15. And then you can just watch this video where I go through the step-by-step process on how you can submit your apps to the App Store. Once again, thanks to Superstar for sponsoring this video. You can have a look at it with the link down in the video description or just by searching for Superstar on the Mac App Store.
You're channeling